arguing with me already. Jeez. Bob Pollock is with us this morning from the Extension Service, and you can give Bob a call if you'd like to talk with him. Ask him your questions about lawns and gardens and such, and he'll be happy to take a shot at them. Our conversation with Mr. Pollock brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted Best Personal Injury Law Firm, Best of the Indiana County Contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wanted to ask you about lawns.
Yes.
With the much hotter weather than we normally get at this time of the year and a dry week, I've noticed a slowdown, a rather rapid slowdown, if you can have a fast slowdown. We've got one in the rate of growth. And is it going to continue? Should I be extra protective of my lawn since we've had this hot, dry weather this week?
Never hurts to be on the preventative side, meaning keep it cut a little higher so that the grass will shade the ground.
Cut that longer?
Yeah, cut it longer. Yeah. Adjust the mower. There's still moisture in the ground, although it is amazing how quickly the ground can get hard. Mm-hmm. You know, I noticed that the last couple mowing, well, especially the last mowing this week. Yeah, the ground had firmed up a lot, you know, from the week before.
I noticed some cracked surfaces.
Well, yes, yeah. So that sunshine and heat really makes a difference quickly. So yes, because most of our grasses are of the cool season varieties, as we have more and more of these days, as the soil temperature continues to climb, as well as the air temperature, then that you will definitely see a response by a slowdown in the growth rate of the grass. You know, up until now, I mean, we've had very good conditions. You have to mow more than once a week to keep up with it, really, if you don't want to have to rake and have clumps. And the grass has been very succulent also. A lot of moisture content in there. Juicy, yes. Yeah. So you might have to clean out underneath your mower because that residue does build up and the mower won't run as efficiently when it does so.
If somebody, and I assume this is going to be a question that applies more in the fall than it does at this time of the year when it's the fast-growing season. If somebody wanted to break down their lawn completely, they say, the whole thing is just an enormous weed patch, and I want to replace all the grass. And I don't want to sod it. I actually want to seed new grass. What's that process? First, getting rid of the old stuff that you want out of there, and then second, replanting a lawn. That's something I'm sure very few people ever do, replant the entire lawn.
Yeah. They will last a long time, you know, with a little care over time. But occasionally, yes, the best option, when you get, you know, more 50 to 75% weed content and only 25% grass, then
I'm there.
You know, then we got to look at, okay, what are we doing? You know, is the weeds good enough? Are we happy with that? The uses that you have for it, you know, will influence that. But if you want a good, thick, healthy yard, then we'd be redoing it at that point. Because you would have to, let's say you didn't want to excavate the whole thing and redo it. You want to just kill the weeds and what grass is left there and then come in and overseed. And that's still an option versus completely redoing it.
You'd use a weed and feed there?
But there might be other reasons to go ahead and rip up the whole thing. You know, it might have to do, you want to change the grade a little bit. Maybe you have some low spots. You want to try to even that up. There might be some places where a little bit of swales where water collects, you know, and doesn't percolate down in the ground as easily. So there's other reasons why you might want to go in and do a renovation. And late August into September really is the best time of year to do that.
Okay.
Right? Because
that's earlier than I thought.
You know, and again, we get into looking at calendar stuff, And we really need to focus on, well, what are our weather conditions this year? You know, we can predict that, okay, this is about the time that we would want to do this. But then when we get there, it might still be too hot. It might be very dry. We might be having a very dry summer or very wet summer, and that will postpone being able to do that. But if we're targeting, we want to do late summer going into early fall, because temperatures are getting cooler at that point. You know, we usually have nights are cooler. Days still can be warm, but nights are cooler. The days are starting to get shorter. So when you do reseed it, it'll be less stress on those plants. It'll give them time to germinate, seeds to germinate and grow and develop a root system. And we still have growing time there in late summer to fall to get established better. And then we also have spring. You know, we've got to go through winter and then get to spring, but we have that spring season also for it to fill in and grow while it's still cool. So we'll have 2 cool seasons to get that established. You know, you might also do it in the spring, but then you have to pay much more attention. You probably will have to water. It's not that you can't do it in the spring. The seeds will germinate. You know, once the soil warms up, seeds will germinate, start to grow. But then if we have a year like this, now we had a lot of moisture, which was very helpful if you did do some seeding or touching up this spring. It probably came in pretty nicely. But if we were into where we are now, where the rain's a little more iffy, we have these hot temperatures during the day, that top of that soil, you've worked that soil so it's looser, there's more air in there, it's going to dry out faster, and so you have to be prepared to water that if you want to get it going well. And then, you know, then the other thing is we go into summer, and those plants normally shut down to a degree anyway. You know, once the temperatures get too warm, or if it gets too dry, or a combination of both, then it's going to go into partial dormancy until better conditions come back.
We have had some really good weather this week. A lot of sunshine. It's been really a pretty week, despite some predictions that said the weather forecasts were a little bit off the mark.
Yeah, and some weather that happened in other places.
Yeah, we're hearing about Canadian wildfires again are going to smoke up the air this summer for the second straight summer. And I don't know that I asked you this last week, but
you said you were going to touch on that.
We were going to touch on it this week. Yeah, with all of that smoke, sun isn't going to be as overbearing on us as it might be. That should have an effect on growing. Yes.
Yes. Anything that prevents the sun, cloudy days, clouds, or smoke, will slow down photosynthesis, and affect that plant's ability to grow. So yes, now, whether it's an hour or a day, or that it takes off or slows something up.
Yeah.
Don't have a definitive answer on that, but it does, that will affect plant growth and performance.
I'm thinking when there is a withering effect from the sun in the hottest days, that it actually could maybe benefit some of those plants too.
Right. Yeah. A little bit of shading doesn't hurt, takes the edge off.
But it's no fun.
Might not have to water as soon. Right. It's not. And then we have the air quality issues.
Yeah.
On top of that, for not only for humans especially that are more sensitive to that.
Weeds are certainly something that we contend with all the time, and I don't know that one weed is more prevalent than another as you get into the summer season, but we're soon going to begin to see some strange-looking weeds because they're really seasonal. And
there's a lot of strange-looking weeds out there already.
Yeah.
I mean, all that moisture, just that warmth, moisture, boy, they take off and grow. So a whole variety of broadleafed weeds, grassy weeds.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is that weed season is basically 365 days a year, because there are winter weeds that will grow in the worst of
Yes.
weather, and you look outside in the middle of winter and something's really greened up, and it turns out it's another nasty weed.
Right.
So
That group of winter annuals,
Yeah.
especially. Yeah.
yeah,
But
right.
yeah, so of course, we have annual weeds. That'll go through their life cycle annually, so from seed to seed, and on an annual basis. And we've got our perennials that will, like dandelions, that are biennial, in that they will start with a seed this spring. Grow that plant. It'll continue to grow. It's got a root system like a carrot, and won't go to maturity until the following spring. So it's longer to deal with that. And then of course we've got perennials that they don't always die back in the winter. Most of them do, but they live from year to year until something stops them.
They bless us with their presence.
Either they propagate by their root systems, creeping Charlie, wild violets, are common things that you can find in the yard. Thistles, various types of thistles, especially Canada thistle. Those things are perennial foes.
And by the way, he said creeping Charlie, not creepy Charlie. So if you know a Charlie who's creepy, we understand. All right. Thank you, Bob.
You're quite welcome.
It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com.
We gathered real Pennsylvania seniors and asked them how they would benefit from an extra $1,000. Here's what they had to say.
Everything is so expensive these days.
Car expenses, repairs,
My groceries, heating costs,
medications,